Welcome once again. Welcome to session 1 of your breakthrough journey. The objective of session 1 is to identify your limiting stories and beliefs that have shaped your life so far, and understand their impact on your decisions, actions, and outcomes. Step number 1 is to reflect on your current story. And I want you to take a moment right now to think about your stories. The stories you tell yourself about who you are capable of becoming, your abilities, and what's possible for you. I'd like you to take your notebook and a pen and answer the following questions. Number 1, what is the one area of your life where you feel stuck? What is one area of your life where you feel unfulfilled? Is it your career? Is it your personal growth? Is it your health, your money? Where do you feel unfulfilled? I want you to write it down. What is the one area of your life you feel unfulfilled? Write it down. Your book can take it. Now, secondly, I want you to answer these questions and answer it from your heart. What story do you tell yourself about why this area is not working? An example could be, maybe you tell yourself you're not good enough. You don't have the time. You always fail at this. What story do you tell yourself in this area of your life where you're feeling unfulfilled? Take your time, write it down. What is the story? Very good. Well done. Now, I want you to write down this. How does this story make you feel? How does this story make you feel? Example could be frustrated, anxious, powerless, discouraged, alone. How does this story make you feel? Tell yourself the truth. A time comes when you must tell yourself the truth. And this process is about telling yourself the truth. How does this story make you feel? Write your response down. And I want you to connect with that truth. I want you to take a deep breath into your belly, push your belly out. Connect to this moment of change. Tell yourself the truth. What does this story make you feel? Take a deep breath. Take another deep breath. Now, after reflecting on your story, I want us to move to step number 2. I want us to recognize the pain, the payoffs. Now, limiting stories often stick around because they give us a sense of safety. They protect us from discomfort. But you know that without discomfort, there's no progress. So they sort of protect us from our dreams when you tell yourself the truth. But psychologically, we think that we are being protected from discomfort. So this is what I'd like us to discover, and I'd like us to explore this. What do you gain by holding on to your story. What are you gaining from holding on to this limiting story? Example could be, I'm avoiding failure. I am staying in the comfort zone. Therefore, I'm avoiding taking risks. Write your response down. What is this story protecting you from? What is it keeping you from? Very good. Well done. Well done. Well done. Thank you. Now, I would like us to look at your story, and I would like us to tell ourselves the truth. What is this story costing you? The Bible says, count the cost. What is this story costing you? I want you to write down all the missed opportunities you have missed because of this story. I want you to write down the unfulfilled potential. You know that God has given you this potential, but right now it's unfulfilled because of this story. I want you to write down all the strained relationships that are strained because of this story. I want you to write down all the pain. You see, we don't know the pain that the story is costing us. We will still continue to have a relationship with this story, even though it's costing us so much. And if we continue with this story, it will cost us our life. It will cost us our jobs, our careers. It will cost us our relationship. What is the price you're paying to have this story? Write it down on your notebook. Write the question, write the answer. What is this costing me? Write it down. The book can take it. Write it down. If you need to pause the video now and write it down. What is it costing you to have this story? Write down your response. Very good. Now, let's move on to step number 3. I would like us to assess the truth of your story. Since you are an adult, and I'm assuming you are, adults stand on the truth and they tell themselves the truth. They don't lie to themselves. There is no, you're not lying to yourself like parents lie to their kids that there's a monster under your bed. No, you want to tell yourself the truth. Let's assess the truth of your story. Let's assess the truth of your story. What evidence supports this story? What is the evidence that supports this story? The evidence you have that this story might be true. Write it down. And the evidence, it could be, for instance, it could be something like, I failed at this task. I failed in business before. My relationships haven't worked. How many? Be specific. My 2 relationships, my 1 relationship didn't work. Write it down. What is the evidence that supports this story? I want you to write it down. Write down your response. What is the evidence that you're telling yourself, this is why this is true? This is why I'm not good enough. Write it down. Very good. Well done. Now I want you to write down the evidence that disproves this story. What is the evidence that disproves this story? For instance, you can say something like, I have succeeded before in similar events. Even though I failed in that one, I have succeeded before. How many of those can you remember? I want you to write it down. What is the evidence that discredits this story? It could be the skills you have. It could be the graduations you've had, the boldness you've had. You face your challenges. You write it down. What is the evidence that disproves the story that you've written down? Write it down. If you need to pause the video now. Write it down. What is the evidence that disproves that story? Write it down. Book and take it. Now let's go to step number 4. Well done. Step number 4. I want you to prepare for change. Reflect on how life could look like without this limiting story. How can life look like? Now, the first question I want you to answer here is, what would be possible for you if this story was no longer true and held close to your heart? What could be possible for you if this story no longer held you back? Who would you become? Write it down. Write it down. Write down your response. What could be possible for you? Who would you become if this story was not holding you back? Think about the businesses, opportunities. Think about the organizational promotion. Think about the relationships. Think about the money. Think about the spiritual growth. Think about how you be maybe a leader in this world. What would be possible for you? I want you to write it down on your notebook. Write it down. Another question is, and I would like you to really answer this one. Write it down. How do you feel if you let go of this story? How do you feel if you let go of the story, if you surrendered the story? Would that make you feel confident, empowered, free, excited, bold? How do you feel if you let go of the story? Very good. Well done. You're doing very well. Thank you. Thank you. You're doing very well. Now, I would like you to look at your limiting story, the one you've written down, the one you focused on, the one you want to be free from, the one that affects you the most. Stand in the path of your fulfillment. And I want you to commit to challenging it this week. I want you to commit to challenging it. So I want you to write down the limiting story. Write it down and make a commitment right now that each time this story shows up, you will remind yourself of the evidence that disproves the story, and keep reminding yourself and visualize what's possible for you when you let it go. Make that commitment right now. Are you in? Yes. 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 Say yes to your destiny. Say yes to the better version of you that is free from the story. Say yes to building the new version of you that is not stopped by the story, the unstoppable version of you. Say yes. Say yes. Say yes to your destiny. Say yes to your true power. Say yes to the calling that God has in store for you. Say yes. And I want you to, let's end this session by grounding ourselves to that commitment. Take a deep breath. Connect with your truth. Connect with yourself. I want you to feel your true self present in this moment. I want you to visualize the purpose of your true self, the presence of your true self, the passion of your true self, the position of your true self, the posture of your true self right now. And I want you to mirror that posture, that position, that purpose, that potential of your true self right now. Take a deep breath. Feel the breath. How do your true self breathe? How do your true self sit? Feel it and connect to that true self. Make this commitment in your heart this week. Whenever the false story shows up, I will remind myself of the evidence that disproves this false story. I will visualize what's possible when I let go of this story. Now visualize yourself as your ideal self. Visualize what's possible. You finally divorced your story. Visualize who you become. Grounded, confident, bold, unstoppable leader. Make a confession. This is who I am. I am a leader. I am a leader. Defy the odds. Defy the story. Set a new standard. Step up. Step up. Step up. Step up. Now as you step up, let me tell you this. Congratulations, because you've just completed lesson 1 of the breakthrough process. You have completed the first step to changing your life, understanding the impact of your story and rewriting it into an empowering narrative. I'll see you in the next session, session number 2. See you soon.